Is Noi gonna survive the explosion? Will Shin get out of trouble? And will Kaiman ever get those toilets clean? Watch to find out on this episode 9 review of Dorohedoro. And before you do watch, I would appreciate if you could smash that subscribe button. But with that said, let's get right into it. Now in this episode, we see Shin getting attacked by some syringes. Some pretty malicious looking syringes at that are guided by magic. Now there's a magic user outside of the residence in a tree with a sniper rifle. And he's shooting syringes at Shin. And there's even syringes attached to the chandelier as well. And Shin seems to be aware of who this guy is. He calls him Yaku. So it seems like Shin knows who attacked him. And the guy that attacked Noi in the previous episode, Noi also encountered that guy as well, as noted by N's story about Shin and Noi as they were younger. Now, Shin used to be sort of a ruffian. I guess he still is a ruffian, you know, he still kind of kills people and he's a badass. But back in the day, he would steal food from restaurants. So one day he stole some food from N's restaurant, his little mushroom noodle shop, and Noi decided to chase him down. Now, Noi saw that Shin's arm was damaged. If you remember from a previous episode, Shin was escaping from the hole and he cut off his own arms. So, you know, they were kind of a little bit severed. They never really healed correctly. So Noi, with her regenerative powers, decides to heal Shin's arms up. So they're brand new. You think Shin would be very appreciative of this fact, but no, he takes the backside of his hammer and he smashes his future wife in the back of the head. It's never too early to set the boundaries, right guys? But anyway, Noi heals herself up and, you know, she's like, you asshole. But anyway, and convinces Shin to be a part of the organization. So he shows up to the noodle restaurant and it looks like Shin and Noi are developing a nice little partnership / friendship. Now we find out that Noi at this point in her life was aspiring to be a devil, as noted by the fact that she was taking bats up to these really high towers and getting food for them. And then as a final ritual to become a devil, she cannot use her magic for 1 whole year. So we see later in the episode, she's got a tail, she's got horns, she's in the process of becoming a devil. It looks like she's very close, and that would effectively be the end of Shin and Noi as we know it, because Noi would no longer be in contact with the sorcerer realm in terms of being a sorcerer. She would be above that. So they're kind of saying their final farewells. 2 magic users abruptly enter the establishment and they attack Shin and Noi. So because of the oncoming Blue Knight, they want to make Shin and Noi their partners because their powers are very valuable and very powerful. So they're attacking. Shin and Noi are fending them off pretty well. Noi ends up taking a huge boulder and smashing it on the top of one of their heads. I believe that was Yaku. And Shin takes care of the other guy relatively easily. So it looks like they've won the battle, but unfortunately, the guy that got his head smashed in throws one little magical grenade at the 2, and Shin decides to take the full brunt of it. He puts his body in front of Noi, so his body is severed at this point. He's just in shambles. And Noi, because she wants to be a devil, she is not allowed to use her magic. She's still in that period where she cannot use any of her magical abilities. But, you know, she decides she doesn't want to lose Shin, so she does save him at the end of the day. She uses her regenerative powers on him, and unfortunately, that's the end of her devil aspirations. So she comes back into the fold with Shin and mentions, he's like, hey, you guys, it's still Blue Knights. Why don't you become partners? You know, make this thing official. So that's the story behind Shin and Noi. We then go back to the Blue Knight. Kaiman's getting scolded by Tanba because he's not watching the restaurant. He then goes out to get himself a gyoza, and in the process, he gets smashed right in the head, and he drops his food on the ground. So he's pissed as all hell. He's calling the guy out. He's like, hey, fucking asshole, you made me drop my food. Go buy me another one. So the guy's like, whatever, I'm just gonna throw a magical grenade at you. Tamba, seeing that this guy is attacking one of his employees, is pissed as all hell. So now he decides to enter the fray as well. And I gotta say, a very nice battle here. Very entertaining. high-paced, high-octane. Really loved it. And after they take care of the guys, we then see Risu. He's entering a building. He's at the Blue Knight as well. He's trying to figure out where Aikawa is. And as he goes into this one part of the building, he sees this magical safe, and he decides to open it up. He sees this dead carcass sitting on the inside. Well, it's not a carcass. It actually turns out to be Noi. Now, the reason she couldn't regenerate herself is because she was placed inside of a magical box that prohibited her from using her magical abilities. But because Risu opened the box, now she can heal herself once again, and she also heals Risu. Risu's head falls off the mechanical body, and through her magical abilities, unbeknownst to her, she heals Risu, and Risu decides to run off. And then as Risu is escaping from En's manor, he happens to run across Kaiman. They're walking by each other, and they have a moment in which they glance at each other's eyes. Kaiman's looking for Risu, Risu's looking for Aikawa, and they have this very cryptic looking moment. I feel like there's probably a bit of symbolism here, but unfortunately they're not going to tell us much more than that at this point in time. It is Dorohedoro after all. They like to leave things open-ended. We then go over to Fujita and Ebisu. Ebisu finds a giant meat bag on the ground from earlier. Fukuyama, one of Tamba's workers, turned Yaku into a giant meat bag. So now Ebisu finds the meat bag. She's happy as all hell. She's like, oh, food, yay! And she's eating it. But let us remember for 1 second here, that giant meat bag used to be a person. So yes, you are right. That is cannibalism, folks. Sad to say it, but that's what it is. So she's eating the giant meat bag. She's happy. Noi ends up finding Shin. She just sits on him. Not in a sexual way, but maybe they'll do that later. So all is well with Shin, Noi, Ebisu, and Fujita. We also find out that Ebisu is the one that wrote the letter to be Fujita's partner. And she's even shown to be blushing at one point in the episode as well. So is there a love interest there? Maybe. We're not really sure. But then we go over to a moment where some of En's men alert him to the fact that they found out who the magic user was at the smoke shop, who happens to be the magic user who can manipulate time. And it's Nikaido. Now, En, knowing who this girl is, he grabs one of these voodoo dolls and he transforms it into Nikaido. And then he takes a mushroom from the inside of his mouth and sticks it inside of Nikaido. And then back in the hole, just as they're having a celebration, they got cake. Johnson made a cake. Shocking, I know. A giant mushroom just sprouts from her back, and we see En's face at the end of the episode. It just looks like a bunch of mushrooms, and we're like, what the fuck is this shit? But we don't know. We gotta wait till next week. So again, another nice episode of Dorohedoro. A lot of great moments. The action was really good in this episode. And I just love the scenery, especially with the Blue Knight. It's so vibrant and colorful. So really top-notch episode, guys. One of my favorites so far. And we only got 3 more episodes to go until the end of season 1 of Dorohedoro. So it's going by really fast. But yeah, I think that's all I really got to say on this one. If you guys could hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. And like the video as well. But until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.